Hello, this is Maldron, the assassin, and today is a second chance review of Nioh. So, there is meant to be a sequel that will be coming out. That sequel, I hope, will live up to expectations. But then again, nothing really ever does. But hopefully they will probably fix a few of the problems I did have with the Nioh originally that I still kind of do. So, since I'm here at the menu, I wanted to talk about one thing I do kind of have a problem with, and you can even see my Let's Play, or shall I say, Tams. Wink wink, nudge nudge. But anyways, so you see how this mission requires me to be level 70? Now let us take a look at the map. So, it goes from a 70-ish range. This is the third, area. 60s, 70s. Look at these numbers, by the way. They some of them seem evened out. But I feel like it kinda jumps after a while. Look here, we have stuff like 67 and such. It's already kind of jumping, but it's not too bad right now. We start going through, you also have to account to the fact that you're going to die a lot, possibly. So it's already jumping into 90s and 80s. There's still some 60s here and there, but most of the main missions jump quite high, and it kind of expects you to farm or do some of the side stuff. I don't think some people will definitely not really see this as a problem, but there are others that might, like me. So, sorry, but I do feel that it jumps a little too high. Right now, I believe I'm level 80. Let me see. There's a way I can check my level status, is it? Alright, so I believe you'll see, yes, I am level 80 at the end of the game. So, you see, this region right here, this is where the end of the game takes place. And there's a hidden boss as well, which is this one, which I haven't beaten yet. Some missions don't allow you to have partners. And I have watched what the actual last boss is, and I have played most of this, but it is ridiculous, some of the stuff you're required to do. So look what level this is. 145. I'm 80 by the end of this game. They expect me to practically go almost halfway more to where I need to be just to get this, when I've practically done almost everything else. There's some of these side missions, but look at them. They're still high enough. There's a couple of missions I can do, definitely, and I'm not saying I can't do some of these too, but it's a little ridiculous. Not only that, but when you watch the Let's Play on this channel of Nioh, you can see that I've tried every boss at least a couple of times on my own. Then I recruited someone to help me. I'm glad this at least has a multiplayer feature for some areas, if not all, which is kind of weird that they wouldn't do it for all. But yeah, you can't. They just literally destroy bosses within just a couple hits, leaving me to think that even if the levels of the actual missions are not unbalanced, you're just not good at it, you still got players who can be summoned in that seem to be, if not high level, can at least do so much more damage than you. And you can see it once again in my Let's Plays. It's ridiculous. Literally, some of the bosses I had in the final run were hit 3-4 times by some of these guys. Probably a little bit more, but the damage is ridiculous nonetheless. So I'm going to just kind of hop into a mission. Oh, wait a minute, not that one. That is literally already a boss, by the way. Greater Demon. So, it is dumb. I am higher level than that, and it's still dumb. And it's a boss I've already fought before, too. I just feel like this game's a little unbalanced in some areas. Not entirely, but a little bit unbalanced. Let's see, I want to do a mission, so say I want to do something a little bit more my taste, my level. You also, of course, have these over here. So that's a fair enough level, these Twilight missions. We're going to do this, though, because it is within my level range, and I'm sure I can do it. If I cannot, then what the crud? Oh, I recognize this place. Loading screens aren't too bad. The graphics are definitely great and work for this game's art style. And I like the art style. I love the story, and I love the characters as well. I think it's done. The acting is really good. The music is great. There's a lot of just really awesome elements to this game. I also always loved this part. So I always thought these were bonfires originally, but they are graves where you can summon other, I guess, NPC players. NPC versions of players. And you can get loot that it's marked as purple or blue or any kind of rarity or power, like whatever level the armor is. You fight a revenant, sorry. Got a door here already. So there will be shortcuts and locked doors and such. It's very Souls-like, except the missions are all scattered instead of interconnected. Some of the areas are interconnected, though. My controller is being a little wonky, so please forgive me on that. These are kind of your save points, your equivalent of a bonfire. You have a spirit animal, which you can have a special attack with, you use, and you can choose the spirit animal. Your leveling system, you have a bunch of combos as well. I'll show you that in just a little bit. I believe that's on this screen. You saw my spirit animal there too. Let's see. Skill customization. So you got some combos going here that you can use. I didn't find this game, like, the more it went on, I found Sekiro was a little bit more fun to do the combos, where this one, it wasn't bad, but I didn't really get used to it, and I didn't really rely on a lot of combos enough. So that's just me, though, as well as just keep in mind everything I say about this game, even the leveling stuff, is just my subjective opinion. It is not meant to be factual or objective or anything. I just kind of think that it was a little bit unbalanced in some areas. Just like you have to expect stuff like you're going to die a lot, probably, depending on how good you get at the game or how good you already are, maybe coming out of a Souls-like game before it. But still, you're probably going to die somewhere along the way. So you're going to have to expect certain obstacles and such that will prevent you from leveling to the required level the missions will require of you. So it's just going to be a little bit frustrating there and a little annoying. So you got tons. You can see I'm wearing Nioh armor. You also get your little gestures you can do. There's some more, like, I'm guessing these are more threatening. These are more like kind of moderate and more helpful and friendlier gestures. So you got all these items you see on the side. You got Amaretto, which is your like leveling and currency. You can also collect gold, of course. There's a lot of loot that reminds me of Diablo and how it functions. The level design, I think some of the levels at first are pretty great, and there are some good levels near the end too. Definitely change up the style. It's really dark in here, by the way. So we got that guy. Ow. So you can see I'm kinda... Let's see, use this healing item. Is this a healing? I think that's a healing, cool. You have stuff like that, and, you can also change your stances and cut off limbs. That's always cool. So here's some of the loot that drops. Looks like there's 2 revenants here. I think these also show where somebody... Oh, there's 3. Died. So you can both challenge them and know where somebody may or may have not died. So this looks to be a spring where you can actually take a bath, kind of like in Death Stranding, and heal up. So I'm already healed. There are collectibles such as these little guys you saw back at the equivalent of a bonfire. Can't remember what they're called. Shrine of sorts. They're probably just called a shrine. Is this back where I came from? Must be. Yeah, it's back where I came from. Okay. It's really dark, by the way. Need to turn up the brightness or something. And of course you could break your average things like pots and stuff. There are treasure chests. Yes, there are some mimics. I've come across mimics that literally mimic you. I like fighting yourself. It's quite crazy. So the dodge button's like very similar to Bloodborne. There are times where it looks a little different, where you kind of like do a little spin to the side. You can find loot in practically anything. Another locked door. I have to open that later. Got a spiral staircase here. Let's check for enemies or any other loot. The enemy variety is plentiful. I do feel... Here's the 2 things. I do feel that the mission design for a while does start to get pretty repetitive. Ooh. You also want to watch out for that. When you get tired out, it will be a real hazard for you, because enemies will be able to put you off balance. You can perform stuff like backstabs, but they're not always as easy to pull off. And I think parries, I'm not sure. I don't really parry much in this game. I'm more used to parrying in some of the other Souls-like games. Okay, sounds like we have another enemy. Oh, where is he? He must be above somewhere. Ah, hello. What the? Hello there. We've got ourselves. Come over here. So, there are some pretty cool bosses in this game. There are some humanoid bosses as well. Once again, the enemy variety isn't bad, and neither is the variety to the areas, but it does kind of get samey after a while. That was my other little complaint. Oh! There they are, Kodama, that's what they are. So, I found another one, surprisingly. So he can go to the collection. Cool. So those guys are kind of like your collectibles in this game. I want to keep searching down here, though. The bosses are quite impressive. There is a time where even the bosses get reused and are a bit repetitive. It's just kind of sad that they reuse a little too much in some places. And, of course, this is really dark, jeez. Wow. I really do need to turn up the brightness, but I'm worried. Oh, crud. So, these guys are going to be quite difficult. I might even die here. Oh, they're sticking. Oh, okay, I found a way out. And I think that's a shortcut. Yes, it is. Let's make them disappear. There we go. Okay, can I do not have enough. Look how much it requires of you just to level up to. That's quite a bit. So 240. Okay. So you can make offerings and such. You could summon people. You got your own treasure that you can sometimes get. So it's checking DLC. I don't think I have anything. Yeah, I don't have anything. Okay. So, see, there's summon visitor. And several other things here. Blessings. Those are kind of like helping little heads to the gameplay. Like, say, if there's a blessing, like you got this healing one, increases elixir drop rate by 15%. So, excuse me, that's your healing item, the elixirs. And you see the little, like, the leaf-shaped thing on my kind of D-pad. Oh, you can, of course, use bows and arrows, as well as guns in this game. Whatever came out was around during this timeline, along with different weapon types with their own kind of stances and variety of combat. So, of course, you got block. So let's see. Say I want to do high. It's a lot slower though, but it's a entirely different stance. If you want to take it up, you do have your heavy attacks. And you kind of charge up like a meter for your super and such, which is kind of why it's doing that little bit of dust off of your character. So let's switch. Got this. This is probably one of my favorites. It's a little faster, but I usually like using a more low. As you can tell, it is even faster. And then of course you can put your sword away. There are many great armor sets and weapons. You can kind of get, like, boss weapons. I don't know what's going on with my menu, by the way. It's being weird. A lot of things are being weird. So, you can see I've marked, some stuff is marked with some new items. So, I got some new ranged weapons. They look to be actually pretty good. So, I want to use this 600 gun. That sounds cool. Musket. Touch bomber. That's pretty cool. So, of course, you can switch your weapons. So I want to switch my sword. I got a more. This is more like a medieval sword. I also have an armor set to match it, in case I want to do a Maldron cosplay. No lances though, sadly. And then for the bow, I can switch to a gun. Isn't that cooler? It's even got it lit on the end there. You can hear it burning. But it's still a very good game. Looks good, sounds good, plays really smoothly. Just have a few problems with the enemy variety for a bit, the level variety for a bit. It's not a big concern, but it does get kinda samey more in the middle part of the game. And then it gets a little bit better later. Except when you do have to return to places a little too often, it starts to get samey in that way too. But with slightly altered or different quests, but not all of them, they will also feel samey too. Like they'll have you fight the same boss even. And of course the leveling, which frankly, to be honest, I don't think that is a big effect to the game. But it did bother me personally. So, my final ratings for this game, and I do think this game's worth a 9, even a 10. Or close to that, at least. But I do have to say that, also your character looks like Geralt. I do love, also, I forgot to mention this, that you can unlock other characters that are in the game later, and that's pretty cool, because there's not really much customization other than the armor sets to the character yourself, so it's cool they give you an option to customize characters, even though you have to kind of buy into that, and there are also kind of like the equivalent of guilds later. So, but I don't really fool around with that stuff too much. But it does help you if you want to get some different characters, or whatever it may be, which are still cool nonetheless. So, this game's great overall. It's got plentiful bosses. It's definitely better than the Surge, just hands down. And I love it still. So my personal rating is going to be a 8.2 out of 10. A recommendation rating will be a 8.5 out of 10, and I think a realistic rating will be a 8.7 out of 10. So, those are my final scores. They will usually be very close to one another. I don't think this game deserves below 8. It is definitely a confident, great game by some of my favorite developers who are, I believe, behind the creativity of the Ninja Gaiden series. You'll have to tell me if I'm correct or not. So, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, and I hope you have an awesome day. And when you do, like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments below, and when you tell me what you think of this game, what you'd rate it. And have yourself a fantastic day. An evil day.